since I've owned iPads, about 8 years so far, I've always kept my iPad in a case, either a folio case or a folio keyboard case, or most recently, the Magic Touch keyboard. I have loved the addition of the Magic keyboard in a move toward the iPad being a laptop replacement. And iPad OS 14 has really blurred the lines between laptop and tablet with its built-in trackpad, with its ability to have the smart connector, 3 dots there that will power the keyboard. The OS itself has given us the ability to use so many more features of a laptop with the power of this iPad. And when I saw the Magic Keyboard come out, I thought, what an incredible upgrade this could be. The smoothness of that hinge, the satisfying click of the trackpad, the feel of the keyboard, all made me forget the price tag of Apple's offering. And then the benefit of the pass-through USB-C port, I was very forgiving of that price. Even if it didn't cover the edges, and it didn't have a way to secure the Apple Pencil. I even sent my MacBook Pro to college with my son when his laptop died. The 12.9-inch iPad Pro would carry my load no matter what I threw at it. All the things I needed for computing power could be handled with the A12X. This is a 2018 version of the iPad Pro. If I were to upgrade, it would be even more computing power, but I don't even need that yet. The only holdout I had was my Logos Bible Study software, but since it has released the ability to create a sermon, even in the app, then I am completely switched away from MacBook Pro, away from a laptop, to my iPad as my only device. Where the story starts, it gets interesting. Something happened that made me switch from the Magic Keyboard to the Logitech Combo Touch. My wife and I were preparing to go out of town for a couple of days with some friends of ours, and even though I don't really remember it, I know that I placed my iPad on top of my Chevrolet Colorado and loaded the e-bikes up, loaded all of our stuff up, put the dog in the truck to take to my mom's, and headed out. Apparently, at some point on the way to my mother's house to drop the dog off, the iPad lifted off from my pickup and crashed into the highway. I didn't miss it at first. I didn't miss that it was gone on the trip to my mom's. I didn't miss that it was gone on the way back through town to drop off a check. I didn't miss it until we were about 2 hours deep into getting to where we were going, and I asked my wife if she remembered where I had placed it, and she said she did not. So when we got to the campsite, I pulled up the Find My app and looked at where that iPad was, and my heart sank because it reported that my iPad was just north of my hometown, sitting in the middle of the highway. For it to be there, I would have had to have been going about 50 miles an hour when it took off. My heart did in fact sink. A new 12.9-inch iPad Pro and Magic Keyboard is not in my budget right now. The only reason I had for hope was that when I opened up the Find My app, it did in fact report its location, and the timestamp on that report was just about 20 minutes before I looked, which means it had still been active long after it fell off my pickup. I didn't know how much of it was left, but I did have hope that some part of it was left. Once before, I had a different iPad in a folio case do the same thing off of the top of my Jeep. I saw it in my rear view mirror as it kind of magic carpet ride went to the pavement before I could even get turned around. A friend of mine had picked it up and I got it back from him. The folio case was scuffed up pretty bad. The iPad wasn't hurt at all. And I continued to use that iPad and that case for another year or so, even after that happened. This time I wasn't quite so optimistic about the possibility of being able to continue to use my iPad Pro and my keyboard case. But I called a friend who lives just around the corner from where this says it happened and asked if she could go and look for it. In a few minutes, she sent me a pic of what she found. Now, before I show you what it was that she found, let me tell you, I have always, since about 3 days after I bought this iPad, kept a paper-like screen cover on this particular iPad. I love the way it feels under the Apple Pencil, and I suppose it probably did give some measure of protection to the screen. But she sent me the first pic, and then here's the second. I couldn't believe it looked like the screen was in perfect shape. And seeing how bad the back of it looked, I couldn't bring myself to believe the screen would be anything other than shattered. But it wasn't. See? Here it is. I've been using it every day since. But this finally brings us around to why I switched from the Magic Keyboard to Logitech's Combo Touch. I looked and looked, and the Magic Keyboard was nowhere to be found out there beside the road, and I have no idea still to this day where that $350 worth of smoothness went. So I started looking for a replacement. I really didn't want to spend that much money again on an accessory to my iPad, and as I was searching, I ran across Logitech's Combo Touch. The keyboard was getting positive feedback left and right. And one of the bonuses I saw was that the iPad actually sits inside the case. It has protection on all corners and on all sides except where the Apple Pencil sits. The stand allows for many angles. Its adjustability allows for many angles. The keyboard detaches and you can use it as it was intended, as a tablet. The smart connector allows this keyboard to be powered, and you don't have to charge any part of this. You just charge your iPad and everything continues to work. Some reviewers were saying that the feel of the case was a selling point. Now, I might differ with them on this particular part of their review, in that the feel of the keyboard case reminds me a lot of my grandmother's kitchen table. And to be honest, I don't have a whole lot of very fond memories of that particular grandmother, but that's a different video for a different channel. The price tag for the Logitech Combo Touch comes in at $224 as I purchased it a couple of weeks ago on Amazon. $126 less than the Apple Magic Keyboard, and I tend to agree with the reviewers. The iPad is secure in its case. It is protected. The stand does allow for much adjustability. The keyboard is nice and not having to charge. I will never go back to a plug-in keyboard for an iPad. The trackpad may be even better than Apple's Magic Keyboard trackpad. The detractors for this particular keyboard are listed as, well, it takes up more space than Apple's Magic Keyboard. And in fact, it does. You can see here, it does stretch out a good ways front to back, as Apple's keyboard just sits right on top of where the keyboard actually is. I suppose that could be a detraction if you have a small lap, or if you don't have much desk space, but I both have a big lap and plenty of desk space, as you can see. Taking the keyboard out of the case does not happen easily. I've pulled it out here off camera. I'll put it back on its detached keyboard. Once again, we have the smart connectors there. You can see the 3 dots that connect. That's the pass-through for the power and the connectivity. It does not use Bluetooth. It uses that as a smart connection. And here you see the camera on it, pretty well toast from the outside. Show it on this side as well. although you still can see through the camera when I open the camera app up, I still can scan documents through it if need be. I suppose those scrapes and scratches and dents are from skidding down the highway after it popped out of the Magic Keyboard case. It may be. Let's see if we can see it over here. It may be that it got run over a few times. It was on the white stripe sitting in the highway when my friend found it. So given the chance to do it all over again, would I choose the Logitech Combo Touch or would I choose Apple's Magic Keyboard? Price-wise, I'd have to say I'd choose the Logitech. If price weren't an option, I would still probably go with the Logitech Combo Touch because of the protection factor. It has the smart connector. That's a selling point. It has an incredible keyboard and trackpad. That's the biggest thing in my opinion because I do use it as a laptop replacement. So the Logitech Combo Touch is in fact an incredible addition, accessory for an iPad if you're looking to go the route of laptop replacement.